Dave Novigrod, my brother. Man, I feel like I've seen you like my whole life, you know, with the Machado shirts, Team USA back in the day. I mean, I don't know, everywhere, you know. So it's just like you surprised me today, you know, visiting, you know, we reconnected on social media, right?
Right. No, it's funny, just you know, because I followed your career as well. I was always keeping up with because I started Jiu-Jitsu in 1991.
91.
And it was different. It was
Different time. 91, huh? 91.
So UFC.
That was before UFC 1. 93 was UFC 1.
November 12th, 93. So I got to train in 91. I started like September. And signed up. It was right when the Machado split from teaching at the Gracies. It was when Rigan left, and then they opened up the school. We had maybe 40 students. And it's funny because Bob Bass was a brown belt, Renato Magno was a brown belt. Chris Howder was a purple belt. Let's see, who else? Then Bob Bass had brothers that were really good that I never saw get black, but they were badass as well.
Bob Bass had a wrestling background too, right?
Correct. So the funny story is, so the first day I came in, I get to wrestle a guy named Fernando Vasconcelos. And
World champion.
Yes.
98, right? 98, black belt world champion.
Right. I think I wrestled him, he was 12.
Yellow belt.
Like, yeah, he had a kid's belt. And Rigan goes, go train with that little boy in the corner. I'm 215. Wrestling? Okay, I can wrestle. You know, man, I got my arm popped. I got choked almost to sleep. And then after that, I was like, oh, this is for me. And started. And that guy.
This is in 91?
Yes, in 91.
Wow. I didn't know that Fernando he's been here in the U.S. that long.
Yeah, he lived with Rigan Machado.
Oh.
Which was an interesting thing. So he lived with John Jack and then trained at Higgins because John Jack lived in Redondo Beach. So Rigan, they all lived in Redondo Beach. And then when it turned out, let's see if I can remember all this correctly. Because I find out new pieces of history, but all of a sudden they opened up a school in the Valley. And I heard Chuck Norris is the one that put up the money and opened up the school in the Valley for John Jack. So, you know, you'd see Chuck around, stuff like that. I never got to wrestle with him. But so I remember training, and it was fun. You know, I had a good top game. You know, I got blue belt in 6 months, but I was blue belt for probably 4 years. You know, there was no stripes.
Right.
Yeah, there was no stripes. But if you looked at the belt, people are like...
I started doing that. Like, I don't really do stripes, you know, overall. I just, you know, because when you expect, like, stripes, it shouldn't be like that, right? You just got to...
Right.
Whenever it comes, it comes. Maybe it'll never come.
Right.
And there's a specialness about that.
Right. It was interesting. Like, but where it started getting interesting was UFC. So...
93.
93. I already knew what was going on. I had a friend of mine, I had a couple of friends that trained at Torrance, and then I would train with them in a garage, because, you know, garage training.
Yeah.
And then their game wasn't like our game, because Rigan would bring out like Brazilians, and we'd learn like half guard. Because I remember when Rigan would bring out guys that developed half guard. Who was
Gordo?
Dude, all kinds of people.
Yeah.
One in particular.
Half guard?
Yeah, he was half guard, all half guard sweeps.
Roberto, not Gordo? Roberto Correa?
Someone else. God, like I said, when I get older, it's
Yeah.
like I start forgetting certain names. But I remember when we started doing half guard and open guard. So we had an open guard. The guys in Torrance are always training closed guard. So I had a friend of mine, and I taught him open guard. Well, all right, when they grab the hands, just move your legs. You know, play this game, and then you can get your grips.
In that time, 91 and 92, they brought somebody with that was doing half guard?
No, that was 95.
Okay, 95.
It was I think the guy that Rigan fought in heavyweight in 95. God.
Jean Malone?
No, but I actually fought John Malone.
You did?
Yes.
Oh.
That was a funny one. Like
Later on.
Yeah, later on, I got to fight Jamal after
Half-guard,
he beat John Jack.
Do you know what team that?
Oh, he was Baja because that's all Baja came
Half-guard,
out.
huh? Okay.
It was, but I started learning different. He would bring in so many different guys, so we'd start working half guard, open guard. So our game was a lot of close guard and into open guard, and then Torrance was all close guard, you know. And then I guess they weren't allowed to wrestle for 6 months, you know.
At the Torrance Academy.
Yeah, dude, you were way advanced than those guys. Like you're a different animal altogether. It was so. Living in Redondo Beach was interesting because I would train in the Machados, and then we'd go to Hermosa Beach, and then you see everyone that trained the Gracies, and then we'd have like these guys, your jiu-jitsu isn't real jiu-jitsu. Like, all right.
That was the line, right?
That was the line.
That was the line.
You know, your jiu-jitsu is like karate. I'm like, dude, jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. Because no one knew the history. Everyone kind of like drank the Kool-Aid.
Right.
So, man, I got lots of these.
Because they tried it, right? The Carlos Gracie, I remember, I think it was Carlos Machado, one of the Machados, you know, just they tried to erase, right? Not erase, but, you know, they tried to say that they were Carlos Gracie.
Yes.
Carlos Gracie Senior.
Yeah.
And they put their ad in the Yellow
Carlos
Pages.
Gracie Jr. It was Carlos
Gracie Jr.
I got the
Jr.
picture. I got the picture of the wall.
No way. Carlos Gracie Jr. And then Horian, right?
Yes.
Tried to sue them. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's how that started.
I heard Horian try to sue Hickson.
Right.
I don't know if you know about that.
I've heard. That's crazy. So tell me.
Wait, let's go. So I got a buddy of mine, Jesse, I've been friends with him for like 20 years, and I've been training for 29. So 29. Yeah. So I was helping him with guard, and then he goes to train at Torrance, and he had a really good open guard because I just showed him, hey, this is how we do it. Yeah, this is different than close guard. I'm all, yeah, well, this is what we do. So when they try to do this, you do that, you know. So Hoist was teaching the class. And it's funny because I talked to Hoist 2 weeks ago about it, and we were laughing. So Hoist was teaching the class, and then he's, okay, you pass guard. So he was doing open guard. No one at the academy ever seen open guard. And then I showed him open guard sweeps. So what happened is there's a purple belt, like one of his top guys, tries to pass, and he's like, couldn't pass. And he goes, Hoist, I can't pass his guard. And then he's like, well, what's he doing? And then he plays open guard, and then he's all, no, that's a cheap game. And he got ripped by Hoist, so then he felt like he had to let the purple belt pass. But what happened is they were so structured for business, and I mean, a lot of things are my opinions, but they were so structured for business that they made maximum money, which good for them.
Yeah.
And I think Higan and the Machados were about making the best fighters, the best jiu-jitsu guys, to make them compete against the top guys. And that was it, man. It was like Machados and Hicks and Gracie guys were good too, because he was building good guys.
Right.
You know, Henry Akins, amazing guy, you know, good guy, American, went through Hickson's thing, Bo Hirschberger, Saunders, like, there's a lot of good guys that were like out of Hickson's, and they were more like on the same path as we were, you know, like Hickson was just trying to turn out the best guys, and then the Machados were trying to turn out the best guys. And then you get Morera into it, and he was turning out really good guys. It's like I learned more about the history from other people that know more history than me. I just know the stuff I saw is the stuff I experienced. It wasn't.
I mean, for me, like, because I was in New Mexico, I moved to Brazil, right, many years, but I had gone to the tournaments. I had came to visit, you know, in Los Angeles. So I had seen you at the tournaments and just seeing like the crew, you know.
Right.
But I never really knew like the history and just all the stories that you're telling me now, you know. So it's like it's amazing for me to learn, you know.
When did you start, and what made you start?
I started in '94, and I worked at this restaurant after high school. I was 18.
What city?
In Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay.
And the guy was a student of Carlos Machado. He was a Navy SEAL,
What was his name?
Marco Gonzalez.
Okay, I know who he is.
Yeah. And so he actually introduced me to Scott Sonnen as well for TACFIT, you know?
Right.
Yeah, he's the one who started the group, and Amal Easton, who's in Colorado, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a Hands of Gracie black belt. He's like my big brother, you know? Yeah, that's how I started it. And they convinced me to do a class, and my friend, who was much smaller than me, armbarred me like 10 times. I couldn't believe it. So I was like, let's go again. And then I was like, I never missed a class after that.
Really? It's always good to see why.
I did. First, there was one class a week, and then he said you couldn't, share anything that you learned.
You couldn't go to other schools, yeah.
Well, you just, even with each other.
Right.
You couldn't even share this stuff with each other in the class, right? That's because it was top secret, right?
Right.
And then it ended up being 2 classes a week, you know? And then, yeah, I never missed. And then Amal went to Brazil, right? And that's how that started. He went to Brazil. He came back. We started training in his garage every day. And then that opened up the real jiu-jitsu, right? Not real jiu-jitsu, but just, that level.
You start getting exposed to different games.
Right.
That's
Different
the
games.
key. Different games.
I remember spending all day, loop chokes and spider guard and sitting guard and, butterfly guard, whatever you want to call it, like all the different things, right? Different passes. And then my mind got blown, right? And I was like, man. And then I came to the tournaments. What year was that? I think maybe like 96 or 96, I think. Yeah.
I think 96 was in Los Angeles, and then 97 was in Hawaii.
But it was there was like the Joe Moreira tournaments, right?
Oh,
Shout out
those
to Joe
were
Moreira.
good.
He
Shout out
was the
to
one
Joe
who
Moreira.
started organizing the tournaments, right?
Oh, I got stories about those.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I always got crazy stories, but it's funny because it's I lived it. I saw it. I saw all this. I saw all the changes. The funny thing was, the best story I got was I went to a local place in Hermosa Beach called Besties. Okay, so I went to go watch the UFC with a bunch of friends that were jiu-jitsu guys, and I knew what was going on. I knew because I already started in 91, so I knew jiu-jitsu. I knew what was going on. The other thing I took into consideration was high altitude. So people get tired fast. And people don't think about Colorado.
You're right. Denver. Yeah,
Denver.
It's a mile high.
It's a mile high. And I don't know if you've ever done altitude training.
The first Santa Fe, New Mexico is 7,000 feet.
But the problem is if you're there, it's no big deal.
Right.
But when you first get there, it sucks.
Yeah.
So I knew what was going on. And I knew that they were getting ready to do the UFC. I knew all about this because Horan was running around looking for investors. So I go to Besties with a little bit of information nobody had. And I'm like, all right, who's betting on who? I go, that Mexican in the bathrobe, I got $100 on that Mexican. I knew he was Brazilian. Yeah. I knew, and I think his, Kung Fu is better than these other guys. And I would always mention he's in a bathrobe, which I knew it was a ye. Long story short, I walked away with $400, $50 here, $100 there.
How old were you at the time?
Shit.
91, 93. That was 93.
Yeah, I was 20 in 91. So, man, I was 23, 24.
When the UFC first started?
Sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was young.
Yeah. You were a kid. Yeah.
Now
we were so young. You were.
Now I'm 49. And I feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, you were a little bit older than me, but it's a lot, right? When you're 18,
yeah,
you're a 24, 25-year-old,
Yeah, it is. It's what I've always done, which I'm fortunate, is I've always was good to younger guys. I wouldn't smash them. I'd just 10% above, catch them. I wouldn't hurt them. And it's fortunate because a lot of my students are they were 14, 15, and now they're Rafael Lovato,
right?
Brian Mendez, but so they've always been. I was good to them; they were good to me, So I always try to be respectful of the young guys because they're fucking good.
They're gonna grow up.
Yeah, they're gonna grow up. I've gotten to wrestle Edwin Nami. It's oh my god. Damn, he's I wrestle him no gi. It's fucking amazing. He's only 25. And it's amazing because I'll try to get in with different games where to get it better. If you catch me, cool. I don't care. I don't have what a lot of black belts, in my opinion, do is black belt-itis, I call it. It's they get the black belt and they stop training. You know, it's like, and I'll show up to a school and I don't challenge nobody. I don't even try to rip the instructor. You know, like there's times like I know I'm way better than the instructor and I'm not trying to tap him out. I whisper in his ear, all right, I'm not here to tap you. You know, push in my head, push here, cool. And then bring your leg in. Cool, now we got a game. And then we just go. Because I think it's kind of lame for me to just come in and
Dojo Storm.
Not cool. Not cool. It was funny because like
back in the day, right?
Yeah, back in the day. It was like because the thing is if you're polite and respectful, there's always a leg lock. I always got that in my back pocket, no matter what.
Back in the day, were there any leg locks?
No. I was one of the few people that did leg locks.
Who taught you leg locks?
I think Egan Hanoi. I watched him foot lock.
Foot lock.
And then
that's right.
He was showing me heel locks and foot locks.
Man, Egan Hanoi.
We were both blue belts.
Blue belt, I think it was 97. Was it 97 he won?
Is that the purple? No, he win. I think maybe.
Or was it 98?
Well, he went like maybe 97 and 98, or he went 90.
He won at blue belt
and 97. Yes,
he won at the blue belt one of the years, 97 or 98.
Let me tell you that story.
Right, I was there. So
oh, you saw it?
I have a story. Yeah, with his shoulder, with his shoulder and stuff.
That was when he was purple belt.
Purple belt.
That video.
So that's 98 then.
That video just came out 2 weeks ago.
No way.
Yes.
Yeah, I was right there. His shoulder separated, popped out of socket.
He was down. He was down like 6 points.
Right, and he went off to the rail, popped it back in himself.
Yes.
Went back, won the match.
Yes.
Now, I didn't realize. I remember he was down by 6 points.
He was down by 6 points, and it was open.
I was like, "Damn, this guy's the real deal."
Egan is a good dude. We still chat on Facebook. Fucking one of the coolest guys I've ever met. Like, I learned footlocks from him, and then heel locks, and then I learned how to hide them. But the funniest,
he was like a ping pong world champion, right?
No, racquetball.
Racquetball.
He's an
athlete.
Just one of the nicest guys. But this is what happened. And he told me what happened. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get ready for Worlds. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Whatever, dude. And then he comes back and he tells me this story. So, yeah, I went to Baja Gracie for a month. And what happened was I let everyone beat my ass. But I paid attention to where all their feet were. And he was like, so his feet, you know, and you know how that game works. Like we were talking about it today. So he knows where everyone's foot is, and then everyone kicked his ass. So they thought he sucked. He goes into Worlds, and he tapped everyone with a foot lock. Then he told me he couldn't get out of the country fast enough. He said they all wanted to beat his ass, and he was scared, shitless, locked up in his hotel because they wanted to kill him. And I was laughing my ass off. I'm all, I mean, could you imagine?
I just watched that match. Like that was epic. You know, when he popped his shoulder back in.
No, that's a purple belt. I'm telling you, blue belt. At blue belt. They knew who he was.
Yeah, after that,
they knew who he was. But I think Baja hated him. You would know because you were Baja. Mm-hmm. What was their feeling about?
You know, I just remember Rico Rodriguez. You know, because he went to the gym and was tapping people out like black belts in the gym, you know, with headlocks and stuff, you know.
Right.
And so they gathered, and, you know, had to practice their headlock escapes, and you know that I remember that, you know, and he was kind of, you know, he's very outspoken, right? So they didn't like the way he talked.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm friends with him. He's a dick. I got stories about
and yeah.
I got stories about Rico then and now. I mean, like, keep in mind, I met Rico when he was about 18, so I got him as a white belt, and I was already purple. So I met Rico. He would wrestle Fernando Vasconcelos.
Rico.
Yes. Rico came in about 300, 320.
Right.
Like, oh my
massive.
God. Massive.
And he can move, though.
And he can move. But as he got lighter, he could move faster. So one of the things that was really interesting was, so Fernando's wrestling him, and then Fernando gets his neck, chokes him, and all of a sudden you hear in the corner, "Hey, help!" Rico fell asleep on top of him, and Fernando couldn't get out. He can escape everything. He can escape anything Rico did, but this is what Rico's a white belt. And he can escape anything he did, and like he's just crushing Fernando, and Fernando's screaming for help. And it's like two of us to try to pull.
How old was Fernando at the time?
Fuck, man.
Is he an adult?
The guy smashed me every belt. I'm not gonna give you some.
No, but was Fernando like? Is he 18?
No, yeah, he was probably 17. Fernando's its own story. I would wrestle with him, smash me every time. I never even got close. And then he started doing high school wrestling, and then he would fucking throw me and take me down. I learned like a lot of wrestling from him and people Higan. He would bring in wrestlers as well. And Fernando, God, take me down. Then he started practicing judo, and he just throw me across the room because I was always like 215, you know. I'd fight at 207. I'd be 215, 220, and then he'd throw me. I think he just loved beating up on me.
He was like a middleweight, right? Lightweight, middleweight.
Yeah, but I remember when
170,
he was
175, 180.
He's man, he was tiny when I met him.
Yeah.
He couldn't even bench the bar.
Yeah.
And he was smashing me.
Yeah, he was a complete fighter, right? He takedowns, guard game,
everything.
Top
everything
game,
everything. Yeah. He was
wrestling, judo.
The funny thing is,
no gi.
He did it to everyone. I don't think he smashed Bob Bass like that though. He didn't fucking do it to Bob. Bob was the guy, man.
Yeah,
Bob would smash me too.
You don't know about Bob.
Second American to get the black.
Second American to get his black. At the first pans, he beat Marcel Vetosa.
Yes.
And he was the golden boy, right?
The guy that wasn't supposed to get beaten.
Right. And
beat him good,
Bob
too.
Bass comes in and beats him. Beats the guy, beats the Brazilian, the champion,
The guy was undefeated
right.
in all his matches, from what I understood, and then Bob beat him, and that's when. But the funny thing,
that's kind of like the beginning of the Pans, you know. That was the first.
That was the first Pan American,
and so like for an American to beat, or else it's just like a Brazil. You know, one might as well call it the Brasileiro, right? Because if it's all Brazilians winning, but Bob Bass made it a fight, right? Made it a legit.
Right. The funny thing with that was, so you got Fernando beating all our asses, and we're thinking like, dude, it's gonna be a fucking team full of Fernandos, and this is gonna suck. So we're thinking like it's gonna be Fernando at every belt coming for us at every weight. And the first match we had was I remember the very first match of the Jiu-Jitsu Pan American was I don't think he trains anymore. He's a purple belt. John Van Horst or Van Horn. This guy had triangles, like that's it. Like he got everyone triangle. He caught me.
He was Machado?
Yeah, he was Machado. And then the first match, he comes up. He just kicks his leg up, yanks the fucking Brazilian down at purple belt. It was like the first match of the whole fucking tournament. Yanked him, and this is one of those things is like he was only like 160, maybe between 145, 155. And like I was like 215, and he's caught me because everyone kind of catches everyone. I was blue belt, he was purple, and I knew that once he got that grip, it was it. So I learned just not to get anywhere around it in time. But I was 215 strong, and he was pulling me into him, and he just kicks his leg up, match 10 seconds, flying triangle. That was the very first match. And then we were looking, that gave us the confidence. It's like, okay, these guys aren't Fernandos, because we were scared. I mean, I'm not going to give you some hero story like, we knew we were going to smash them. Our experience with Brazilians was we got smashed. Higgins smashed us. John smashed us. Oh, and we'd get all 5 brothers on the mats. So, like, I got smashed by all of them, and then smashed by Fernando. So these guys coming from Brazil, what? It's going to be different.
Psychological.
Yeah, we were psychologically fucked.
Yeah.
But the funniest one was we had a guy, Lucius Smith, blue belt. And Lucius is a good dude. Me and him would go boom, boom. Former NFL player. I think he played for the Rams. 215. He takes his shirt off. He looked like an Adonis. So he goes and strong, just NFL player. You know, like me and him would go for battles. And that's how I get good, is fighting guys like that. So he goes to compete. And then he threw this Brazilian around, like just ragdolled him. And then all of a sudden Higgins says, take off your gi. This guy takes off his gi, muscle and fitness cover, you know, jacked. And then all of a sudden all these Brazilians stop what they're doing and run to get their cameras to take a picture of him. Because Americans, we were just like a motley bunch of different people, you know. But yeah, Bob Bass was the highest level we had was brown belt.
Yeah.
There was no black belts. There was no American black belts at that time.
Who was the first? He was the second black belt from Machado's, right?
He was
the second American black belt.
Right, second
and
American,
first from the Machados.
First from the Machados.
From the Machados.
So,
is he still teaching? Is he still involved with Jiu-Jitsu?
I haven't.
He had South Bay Jiu-Jitsu for a while.
I heard he closed it down. I don't know, but like I heard he's still teaching. I just don't know where. But I talked to Higan, like, because I talk to Higan all the time, you know, because I got my black belt from Rigan Machado, but I got my black belt. I got every belt, every stripe from Higan. So it's funny because, you know, me and Higan still chat and laugh.
You got a stripe? Did he give you a stripe one time?
He gave me, what's up?
Did he stripe you up one time?
No, only black. I never got a stripe on any belt.
That's what I'm going to ask. No. Because people think, I got a stripe on my blue belt, my white belt. Like, you got 0 stripes in every belt.
There was no stripes.
Right. And now you get your stripes, your degrees, right, on your black belt.
But the black belt,
when you talk about stripes, those are the only stripes.
Yeah, those are the only stripes that matter.
Every 3 years, every 5 years now, right?
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know if you know, but you know the Brazilians changed the bar as Americans got better, right?
No, I didn't know that. It was different before?
Okay. You don't know?
No.
Oh. As Americans got better, the Brazilians changed the bar. What happened is, if you look back, those particular famous black belts, how do they have 3, 4 stripes? You know?
Did they change the IBJF?
Yeah. No, there was no IBJJ.
Right. There wasn't.
There was none.
There was a CBJJ in the beginning.
There was nothing.
Right.
Well, there was nothing in America.
Right. 91.
This is stuff where you would probably know, or talking to you, we could
I think the
out.
first Brasileiro, I think it was around 9. That was after you started, actually. 93 or 94. I'm not sure. Something like 94, actually. 94 is when they had the first Brasileiro. And then the first World Championship was in 96. 96. Yes,
Yeah,
96.
I don't even know.
That was the first World Championship. Because them all went.
Yeah, because you lived there.
I was
so
there.
You
I
saw
went to the
shit.
second. I was at the second one, and then at the third, and all that. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Yeah.
No, they changed everything.
So it was different before that. Because I paid attention once. Actually, I didn't pay attention to those things.
No disrespect
I was a
to
blue
any
belt, you know?
black belts that are coral belts. But if you look back at pictures in 91, 93, a lot of people had 5, 6 stripes in 91.
Right.
You could just go.
I think even the Machados, right? The Machados
Exactly.
were putting on all these extra stripes.
Right.
And like
Because there was
Carlos
no-
Gracie Jr. and he's got, these other black belts.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I was there in 91. I never seen Carlos give anyone a stripe. So
Right.
I'm not saying that, dude, these guys all.
Because there weren't that many black belts too, right?
Exactly.
At the time.
But it wasn't-
I don't even on the old Gracie pictures, we never see anybody with stripes on their black belts, right?
No. Oh, well, yeah. You know,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah. Nobody
Dude,
had a.
no one
even
had
the red
stripes.
bar. There was no red bar.
There was none of
it
that.
It was just straight black belt.
Well, when I got black belt, there was no black belts with red bars in the U.S. being sold. It was a Brazilian thing.
Right. My first black belt didn't have a red
Yeah,
bar.
neither was mine. Mine was like, and I still have it.
Yeah.
I just put white stripes on it. But it was so old, it's like falling apart.
That's funny. And everybody's like so particular now. Oh, red stripe goes on the left side.
Dude, I don't
you
even
know.
It's like, but I mean, when you have that many stripes, it's like, they're gonna come and fuck you up, and I know it. Everyone's coming.
But so the IBGF, it was before the IBGF, but
that's that's a story in itself.
Tell me the story. Tell me the story.
What, I beat JJF?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, hopefully I don't piss everyone off.
Well, it's like because you were from here, right? You're from here, and you were at the very beginning.
First Pan American, 95.
95.
So
was it 95?
No, yeah. Some people think it's 96. You can Google.
It's 95. Yeah, 95.
Yeah,
95.
but some people think it's 96. But I could pull up if you go.
No, it's 95 for sure.
If you go on my IG, I got a picture. It's a second Pan American, 96. Because I still have the shirt.
That Rigan Machado. I remember I was there at the Rigan Machado at it was a high school.
Yeah, it was at Aviation High.
Aviation High. That's right. tiny little, like gym and like.
But there wasn't that many people doing it.
Right.
So what happened? First Pan American.
Eric. Famous Eric Paulson.
Oh, Paulson
was a blue belt there. I remember seeing him there.
That's another story.
Yeah,
I love Paulson. Paulson's awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Because I got Eric Paulson stories. People didn't know that I brought Eric Paulson to the Machados. You know, me and him worked at nightclubs at Blue Belt. But that's another one. So let's see. So I watched the tournament get put together, and it was the first real tournament. And John Machado seemed to be the one. I mean, the Machados put it together, but like John Machado, to his credit, he's the one that like got the school. Him, and more so than John Jack at that time. But it was John was like Carlos. You know, brought his brains in it, but it seemed like John was always doing everything. And then Carlos comes into town with like, I don't even know, 100 Brazilians. And
Carlos Gracie.
Yes, Carlos Gracie
Carlos
Jr.
Machado, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Carlos Machado and John Machado seemed to be the ones that kind of put it together. And some of it's hazy because, God, this is so long ago. But from the way I saw it was, so Carlos Gracie Jr. gave Rigan his black belt.
Right.
And he's all, Dave, this is my coach, you know, Carlos Gracie Jr. Hey, I met him. Cool. We get along. And then I saw some things. Like, I saw a lot, but let's see, how can I nicely, delicately put it? All right.
Just say it.
Oh, it's not like, you know, I mean, look, I like everyone.
It's in the past.
Yeah, it's in the past. I respect everyone, but I saw it. So it was one of those things that I saw. And like I said, I saw the Machados work hard and make it happen, put everything together. That was Carlos, what I understand, first time in the U.S. And then like all the money that the Brazilians paid went into Carlos's pocket. So all our entry fees is the one that paid for everything. It was a great tournament.
Yeah.
But, you know, I started seeing that, like, dude, Carlos Gracie Jr. is actually, like, the big dog. Dude, I'm American. I'm clueless. I haven't been to Brazil. You know, hearing about people like you in Brazil was like, yeah, American. So I pretty much, Carlos Gracie Jr. after that took over everything. And that was the start of it. But it gets even more interesting. I had a student of mine, James Liu.
James Liu.
Yeah. James Liu was a private student and
the BJJ tapes.
Right, BJJ tapes. And then Howard Liu, which is Combat Kimonos, HCK, he was also one of my privates. I was purple belt teaching privates because there was no high level guys back then. So I was teaching privates at purple, you know, I was doing good. So James Liu owns check cashing businesses, very successful, really smart guy. And like when Rigan like was going to get into a project, he funded and Rigan partnered up and did Rigan's BJJ tapes, did BJJ books and stuff like that. And, you know, James Liu put it together. And I blame James Liu for, if you see Baja Gracie, James Liu, that's your fault.
He did his work visa, right?
No, better. He put up all the money for the first
gym.
Yep, it was like in Orange County. He'd tell me,
right, Lake Forest.
Yeah, so he would tell me, it's like, I'm all, dude. So first of all, I was talking to Rigan about like Carlos taking over everything, and I'm like, really, dude? Like, this is your thing. He's all, Dave, he's my coach. What can I do? I'm like, you can use your words, you know. I understood. He respected him, you know, and Carlos was a big dog. I mean, he was always really polite and cordial to me, and he knows who I am.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd see him, gives me a hug still. Like, I'd see him in tournaments. Great guy. But when it came to business, he is the best of all the Brazilians. So what happened is James Liu set up the first school. He's the one that sponsored him. He's the one that sponsored all the fighters because he had other businesses. He brought in Baja Gracie. Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things that nobody knows. I saw it because I'm teaching this guy privates.
So he'd tell you all the
He'd tell me every day. And I warned him. I'm all, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. I'm all, you know how many fucking black belts they got in Brazil? What, you're going to fucking take every future American black belt's job by bringing this guy in with really good black belts? You know, it's business. And I'm like, dude, you're going to get fucked. And he was like, no. I'm all, trust me, it's not going to go good for you. And he's like, oh, I got contracts. I'm all, contracts.
Yeah.
And so long story short, let's see the nicest way I can put it. Carlos got his foothold in the U.S., and one day, I guess the records were gone. Students disappeared, and they opened Baja Gracie like a couple blocks away. And
from that original location,
yeah.
after he invested into the
he invested
school, yeah.
everything. I guess they.
Yeah, I remember seeing Higan, like they had because I was Gracie Baja, right? So.
Yeah,
I had gone to visit, and the next thing I knew the old website even had like Rigan Machado on it. I'm like, what's going on? You know, what happened? And then they were down the street. Yeah.
See, this is stuff that you can help because like you were there. Because how many Gracie Bajas did you open?
Here in LA, 6. Yeah. Yeah.
You can thank James Liu for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I should call him up on speakerphone.
Right.
You know, he'll say some bad shit. But look, he thought he had contracts.
Yeah.
Well, bro, it doesn't work like that in Brazil. But
it's like it's what's interesting about jiu-jitsu, right? It's not like it's even with the pandemic and all these things going on, like it's not in a contract, it's not on a piece of paper. It's about the relationships and like the reputation too, right?
Right.
Is like kind of the business, you know? And so that you have no protection, right?
It got so bad between those two. I mean, it was crazy. Like,
did he tried to sue him, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, but it's kind of funny when like you're like, because I still talk to James a lot, and I had him tell this story to Todd Nathanson and some guys out of old John Jack black belts that I'm friends with, and I guess like he started teaching someone like in the FBI. And like
who's that? Carlos?
No, yeah, Carlos.
Oh, okay.
So Carlos started like pulling like U.S. government and like, dude, they were going back and forth. There
was a guy, Papa John, that they had that I think it was with the government.
Dude, see, you're able to fucking you're putting stuff together that I heard.
Yeah.
Because I guess they
that puts it's been, I wasn't like involved, but I knew of the guys and I knew what was going on.
And
I love jiu-jitsu, right? And I'm grateful for for all of them, right? All the Machados, all the Gracies,
Yeah,
but it's good to hear the stories, right? Because something that you don't know about is Chinguinha. I don't know if you know who Mauricio Chinguinha.
I know Chinguinha.
So
my brother trained with him a while back
in Orange County, right?
Yeah,
so he's
awesome.
the one who had I did a podcast with him and to kind of hear his side of the story, because Marcio Feitosa was, he was like is the best, this kid's godfather and best friend, and he told them and Carlos Gracie Jr. about Lake Forest location, or just like that he was thinking to open up a second school there.
Right.
And then they ended up going there and doing that, behind his back, so he was really hurt. So that was before that even, right? And then he got the is it James?
James Liu.
James Liu. to whatever
he was
finance
the one that,
it.
He financed
and
it.
sponsor
he did all
him
the
and stuff.
paperwork.
Yeah.
Sponsored him. Sponsored the guys he brought out. He did everything.
Yeah.
There would be no Baja Gracie if it
right.
wasn't for him.
Right.
So if you hate Baja Gracie, I'll give you James Lou's address and phone number. I mean, if you're my friend and you make a mistake, I'm gonna rip you on it forever.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, and I mean, all due respect to Carlos. I mean, Carlos Gracie Jr.
Yeah.
Dude, he fucking did what he needed to do.
Yeah. I mean, bottom line is right. Like
he was the big dog.
He's a big dog, and he has a visionary, right?
Yeah,
and he
I
implemented his
respect it.
vision, like even the federation, right?
Yeah,
creating a federation. And I was, because man, like just me in Brazil, because he was always kind to me because I was American, but he liked me,
Right.
And I used to go the IBGF, like the worlds and all the weigh-ins were in his backyard garage.
Right.
And so can you imagine, like you have no privacy, like you're, all the Novo União, all the different teams, they would go to his, like basically in his living room, but for him to unify like jiu-jitsu like that and to get everybody involved, like it's pretty remarkable, when I think about it, because I know like how many people were, jiu-jitsu is very like, it's not like alpha, but it's like, everybody wants to be the alpha, right? The big dog, right?
Carlos Gracie Jr.
And he
is
unified
the big dog.
everybody.
He's
The Gracie family, all the different factions of jiu-jitsu. Man, it's amazing, So like I have to take my hat off no matter what,
Oh, me too.
Yeah. And then just jiu-jitsu around the world, like the professionalism, of jiu-jitsu, like, because like, we were talking all day today about the Fight Club.
Yeah,
it was like a fight club, it was a fight club. Like only the tough survive,
Right.
Like for you to get your black belt, you have to like break people's legs and
You got stories of those.
tap out, tap out.
Everybody.
Like, everybody, and then, okay, cool. Respect, like, but that's how it was, right?
That's how it was. But the Baja Gracie stuff is really interesting because Carlos, he's done amazing. Because I don't know if you remember how unorganized tournaments used to be.
No, for sure.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
You'd be competing at 2 a.m.
Right.
And you'd been there since 8.
Dude, I don't know if you went to the Pans in '99.
Which
in
one?
Miami. It was in Miami.
It was Kissimmee.
It was in Miami.
Okay.
That year, 99.
Then maybe I went.
I don't know what happened that year, but it was supposed to be, obviously 2 days, and something happened where they had to finish it in 1 day. So we were supposed to compete at like 2 p.m. We ended up competing at like at 2 a.m.
That was
the tournament competed. The tournament ended at like 5 a.m.
Wow.
And everything was closed, so we couldn't get food.
There was a lot of tournaments like that, though.
Not like 5 a.m., 2 a.m. But,
2 a.m. Yes.
Yeah.
I seen it. I think man. Like I said, you get older, you start forgetting things.
Yeah.
But then talking to you, I start remembering things.
The Miami one was the one, because it was pretty crazy.
Let me tell you something that you might not know. Let's talk about weigh-ins. So I competed last year. So I quit. All right. My quick story is I got black belt in 2000 and then I quit competing in 2003. So I wanted to open up a school and then I saw how good other people got. And then I was like, fuck this. I got into porn, became a porn director, and we can go back onto that. So I started shooting porn like 2003 and then I became director like 2004.
How do you get involved in porn?
A long story. I give you that.
Somebody for jiu-jitsu, hey man, you should help me out with this porn.
Like what happened is I used to teach anyone who's anyone. But so what happened is I'll get back to that, but I come back. I didn't compete. And then last year I got ready for Worlds and it was fun. I just trained hard. My training partners, like the level in games are so different and I'm training hard. And then I went to World. I did fine. I won. It was good. And then I started noticing it's like, what's this gi size thing? And because they didn't have that.
Bro, back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, back in the
organized,
day. Now, what happened is like weighing in day before. It used to be weigh-in day before. But what happened is Americans were so good at cutting weight. But the other thing I know, and this is Renato Magno, street sports. Dude, fucking Machado black belt, great guy. I used to travel with him to all the tournaments. We traveled, cornered Jason Jones for old IFC events. Like, that guy I really like and respect a lot. Like, he was a great guy, just a good guy. I always used to call Renato the mayor of Jiu-Jitsu.
The mayor of Jiu-Jitsu.
Because he got along with everyone. He was Machado black belt, but everyone loved him.
Yeah.
And he'd be working.
He was always kind and
he was
nice to
working the
everybody.
scales, and like we'd, you know, I remember it was like maybe 97 or when it was in Kissimmee. Me and Jamie
Florida.
were in line.
Orlando.
Yeah. We were in line, you know, weighing in, and Americans were so good at cutting weight the day before that Brazilians weren't good at cutting weight back then. Now, dude, everyone's good, so it doesn't matter. So Americans would cut the weight and then come in like all jacked like Rico, you know. So it was funny, but because then I was talking to, I'd make weight, and then, you know, I get on the scale, and then Renato, he's all, David G, you make a weight. And then without saying anything, a lot of the Brazilians that would weigh in, like they were way bigger. They were way bigger. Like we're talking toes on the scale and all that stuff. And I got it from good sources that it didn't even, we were cutting weight, and the Brazilians weren't cutting weight like us in the 90s. And since they had a Brazilian on the scale, they all made weight. If Carlos said that guy's that weight, that's it. He didn't have to weigh in. And then a lot of Brazilians didn't weigh in. Someone came and said, okay, he's that weight, he's this weight. And I don't know if you knew about that.
You know, I was pretty dialed in with CDM and the guys who ran the IBJF. Like, they
In the 90s.
in the 90s, in the 90s, you know.
Because I knew in 97 it was like that. And then I knew, but I had to get on the scale and I had to make weight. I know. Like, that was me. But it was funny because I would hear.
But it could be, you know, like tournaments and, you know, they're friends with, they're on the same team or whatever, and,
Dude.
you know, calls and points and
Brazilian. Oh,
advantages,
yeah. And you know that one
so
too.
for sure, you know. But
it's, I think making weight, I like the way they do it now.
yeah, you know, for sure.
I think it's way better.
And then now it's super organized, right? There's
amazing.
there's no kind of,
What time it is the time it is.
yeah.
You know, that's what's amazing.
That's amazing where it's come from, right?
Yes.
Because you would come to the tournament. Well, one was the weigh-ins. That was a whole spectacle. It was like an all-day thing. You would go into weigh-in, right? Like, weigh-ins are at 12 or 11 a.m.
Right.
And you would weigh in at like maybe 5 p.m., 6 p.m.
Right.
Maybe, right?
Dude,
Waiting in the sun. I remember Orlando.
Yeah,
like,
outside, in the
you know?
line, the big old line. BJ Penn is a fucking purple belt or brown belt.
Yeah, everybody's out in the sun
'cause it's
baking, you know?
I would see all these guys that I've known for so long, and I'd watch
Because guys
these-
now, like, you have a time. It's all nice. You can tell your family
Right.
and friends to, hey, come. I'm meeting at 2:00.
Nah,
Yeah,
it's
you know,
way
you have
better.
an hour, and way better for sure.
Way better, all across the board.
But it had to start somewhere, right? And then, you know,
So I'll give you my story. So I started in 91, and then UFC was in 93. And then, you know, we had 40 students. And then come Saturday, we had 40 new signups on Saturday. Then come Monday, another 40 students signed up. And that Monday, Ken Shamrock came in.
no way,
And Funaki.
no way.
Oh, it gets better. So, you know the game. Someone comes into your school, you put a blue belt against them. You know, as we're both black belts, it's like, I'm going to put a blue belt against you. And if the guy likes, he's going to go, the guy who comes in, if he likes to be on top, he's going to go to top. If he likes to be on the bottom, he's going to pull guard. So if you see him pull guard, when it's time for you wrestling, you see all his attacks, all his setups. So when you wrestle him, instead of studying the guy, you already know what he does. So you could smash him in 2 minutes. Because if he likes to pull guard, you're going to pull guard. If he likes to take on top, you're going to put him on his back.
Yeah.
And that's the game. So Higgin, they put me with Funaki. Dude, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, you know. And, you know, I'm like, all right. So I wrestle him, and like they're watching me to see how Ken Shamrock, Funaki, you know, how they do against me, so then they know what to expect.
Yeah.
Because if Funaki's good at leg locks, he's going to go leg locks, you know, whatever it is,
yeah,
he's going to do it to me. They didn't expect me to smash him. And I didn't know who he was. And what happened is Japanese press was there. They took pictures. There was 100 pictures taken, Dude, I tapped him out like 3 times. I'm like, Japanese guy. I don't know. I didn't know who he was. I had no fucking clue, you know? And then it was like, but other people tell the story like, oh my God, Dave just smashed this guy. And it was, I started finding out who he was. And I'm all, wait a minute, you're going to set a fight up with this guy in Hickson? I'm like, I
didn't know he had gone to the Machados.
Yeah, he went to the Machados that Monday. Him and Shamrock, and they wanted to learn jiu-jitsu.
And how did Ken Shamrock do?
Got mopped. Everyone got mopped.
Did he wear a gi?
Yes, they did gi and no gi. So we did both.
Got mopped in both.
Got mopped in both. They had no guard. They had no idea what a guard was.
So as soon as somebody put them on their back, they were done.
Well, imagine this. It's like I pull you into the guard. You don't know what it is. I sweep you, and then I take top. Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
There's no guard recovery for them.
Right.
So they can't go guard recovery.
They give up their back. Right?
Yeah, they give up their back, or they're like flailing their arms. It was like...
It's crazy, right?
It was
crazy. People, everybody had to learn jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Or else, you know, you were done. You had no chance.
Yes. That's exactly what it was like. But and then later I figured out who he was. And one thing I did learn is not one of those photos ever made the light of day. I got photos back I got pictures with him. You know, I got to find them, like, dude, like storage type deal. And I got to find all my Pan American medals and shit. But it was interesting because, like, I'm friends with Mark Denny. I talk to him a lot.
Yeah.
Mark Denny he's been doing jiu-jitsu before me. And I don't know if you know, Mark Denny's like one of the Dog brothers.
I know Mark Denny, because one of the other Dog Brother founders is from Santa Fe. Arlen Sanford.
Really?
Arlen Sanford, and then
guys.
he's the Salty Dog.
Yeah, Salty.
And
I know
then,
Salty.
And then what's the
Eric Naus.
Eric Naus is the top dog.
He's still a purple belt.
Top dog, and then Mark Denny was the crafty dog, right?
Crafty dog.
And I stayed at his house actually,
dude,
with Arlen Sanford.
Really?
One of the years before we went. Actually, when I went to the Machados before the Pan Ams in '98.
Right. So he started jiu-jitsu before me. We're friends. I talked to him on the phone the other day. We laugh and joke because I used to wrestle with him. He's oh, wait till you're my age. And like, dude, he was like 40 and now I'm 49. I think of him all the time. But he was there, like saw the Funaki thing, and he tells this story. He made a huge post on it.
Mark Denny.
Yeah, he saw it.
He was there on the mat.
Yeah, he was there. He saw me like just.
Yeah.
You know, he tells it like.
He was good for the Dog Brothers because he was the one who created the media and just got the word out there, right?
Very smart guy.
Yeah,
very smart guy.
He was an attorney, right?
Yep. It's funny because I was talking to him about that. I'm like, dude, I know you're an attorney, but I never seen you work. And then he told me like he got into real estate. Like we had this conversation 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Like
3 days ago.
Yeah, 3 days ago. Like I keep up with everyone.
Yeah.
Where it was like reconnecting with you was like super exciting.
Yeah.
You know, like my friend Pop Dart's all, well, why don't you like send him? I want to surprise him. And he's like, I'm all, no, it's not like I'm coming and he's going to think I'm here to beat people up. It's not like dojo starving.
Right. I knew that. I would know that.
Yeah, you would know. But, then I sent you the text and, we were laughing. But Mark, when he tells his story, like, because I stopped by one of his seminars and he tells like the story of me beating this guy up. And he's like, and this is the best Japan has to offer in this. And Dave had no clue and Dave just smashed the guy. And dude, I was blue belt.
Those are the times, right? If you were a blue belt, you were like, man, you were like.
I trained a lot of Americans. So in the 90s, I trained a lot of different Americans. I went to Big Bear. When Americans were smashing Brazilians, I can't talk in super details because it pisses people off.
Yeah.
But like one guy went and smashed a Brazilian in Brazil, and I didn't teach him jiu-jitsu. I just said, hey, when he moves his hip out, I can't teach you jiu-jitsu. And that's what I told a lot of guys, but I can teach you how to stop it. So he moves his hip out, you're going to move. If he moves to the left, you're going to move to the right and square up. Don't let him get that angle. So every time he moves his hip, you throw a punch. And then he moves his hip, throw a punch. Moves his hip, throw a punch. Because as jiu-jitsu guys, we need that hip out. And I got death threats for 3 weeks, like in Portuguese.
I talked to Scotty from On the Mat, and it's just a different time, right? Different time.
It's funny because
like a different time, like it was like that, It was like that.
It was crazy.
I think because of my background, because I lived in Brazil and I spoke fluent Portuguese, and I was in a team,
Oh, they loved you.
And they were like really my brothers, and like it was my family, my team,
Right.
And I think that's why I moved to Belo Horizonte with Draglino. Belo Horizonte, they call
That's
it.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm
your
really grateful
story's
for that
amazing.
time, But yeah, it was a different time, man. What a different time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really cool for me to hear the stories of like SoCal, Machados, because that's, it's all our lineage, right? We're all interconnected. It was just like the Machados came, they taught the real jiu-jitsu back in the Machados. Then Half Gracie came later, right? And then Henzo New York.
Right.
And those were the legit.
Well, actually, Henzo and Craig came out together.
Right,
Yeah,
New York,
so that was something I knew about.
Right.
Because I would wrestle guys that were like from New York that were good, and they were always telling me, "Oh my God, you're so good." I was like, "We got a guy that's pretty good. He's not as high a belt as you, Matt Serra." I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Then it's like later, it's like, oh, Matt's, you know what I mean? It's weird because it's like,
yeah, before I went to, I think it was my first time going to Brazil. I went to New York because my dad lived in New York.
Right.
And then of course I went to train at Henzo's because Henzo had just moved there. And so I went to train there, and Matt Serra he would live in the gym Monday through Friday.
That guy put his time in.
So he was in the back room, and he would basically, clean, he would basically take care of the gym. And I remember like one of the memories is like the toilet would overflowed, and he was the guy,
He was the guy.
and he was like, God damn, like with his accent and stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he would be the guy, So speaking of, putting in his time, right? Like
He put his time.
But he was on the mat. He was teaching. He was doing everything, and then he would go home on the week. He would go to Long Beach on the weekends to, be with his family and stuff. But he lived at the gym. It was his life,
Me and him had so many mutual friends, and we never got to meet. I always wanted to meet him like after, but what happened is like, because these guys would come in from Brazil, or not from Brazil, but from New York, and we were good. I'd just smash these guys. It's like, for me, it's training, but like I'm nicer now, I think. So it's like we'd smash these guys, and then like they'd go back, and they're really cool. And like, oh, my friend Matt Serra. It's like, so I'd have all these guys from New York, and like I heard about him, and I heard he was good.
Yeah.
And
he was I remember him smashing me like I just had to have a chance because I'd never really trained too much no-gi.
Right.
And he was training a lot of no-gi at the time.
Right.
This is like 96, 97, something like that,
Right.
And I was just like, I didn't have a chance. He was a purple belt,
Right.
at that time, and there was
no purple belts. That's why,
belts,
like, yeah, because
so he was like,
me and him were, I think, roughly purple belt together.
and he was American too, right? So it was like,
so
it was
he
pretty cool,
he was cool, but I would always hear about him. I'd
Yeah.
hear, oh, Matt Serra. So for me, it was I was always like pro American. If you were good, it's like you got my respect no matter what. I don't care if you beat me, don't beat me. You get my respect just for being American.
Yeah.
And competing at that higher level. So, I'm training guys. I went to college. Law school, and I didn't.
Oh, you went to law school?
Yeah, because I didn't want to get a real job. I mean, I went to school for all the wrong reasons. So I went to college. I got through on scholarships, and I trained jiu-jitsu. I was sponsored by Serial Killer Clothing. I had shoes.
I want you to say a couple words. And Matt, what was his last name? Serial Killer.
Matt McAfee.
Matt McAfee.
Dude, he ended up, he was a great guy. He ended up killing himself. McAfee. He owned Serial Killer Clothing. He was a great
he put
guy.
on those contacts, and he had like
No, that's Matt Hall.
Matt Hall.
That's Matt Hall. Matt McAfee owns Serial Killer. I'll get into the Matt Hall story.
Okay.
I'll definitely get into the Matt Hall story because, dude, that guy's stud.
Yeah. So Matt Hall was he had put in the like the white contacts,
Right.
and he had he had a mohawk, right?
Okay, I'll get into the Matt Hall now. All right. So,
But he was always so supportive, like of all, like I felt like he was a big guy. He was like this Hulk of a guy, and he was always so supportive of if we were doing good in tournaments. Oh man, that's awesome, and you felt like nice, because this big guy was like had your back,
I'll give you Matt Hall and Rico. Rico started before Matt Hall. Rico was 18, and Rico was good.
Yeah,
he was really good, but as he dropped weight, he was quick. Like fast like a guy that's like 170, 160. So Rigo got good. And then what happens, we had a guy, Matt Hall, come in. And Matt Hall was a big white guy. So when I first met him, he was like maybe 210. And then really well built, like really, Matt Hall's, man, that guy's just, I miss the guy. So what happened is he was maybe like 210, 215. Then he started taking steroids and he got up to like 260.
Yeah, he was just...
He ended up... So in Jiu-Jitsu, he would like...
American Gladiator, style guy.
He would put in white contacts, spike a mohawk, and just give people that look like...
And he would wear the serial killer clothing.
Yeah, that Matt McAfee sponsored him. And this guy was scary. Like I remember when he was blue, man. I'll show you pictures. Like, I was purple, like, and I held blue for 4 years. I was every belt forever. So I remember wrestling him. I would tap him, boom, boom, no problem. So what happened is he started getting big, like 245, 250. And then one time I remember specifically, and I tell this story. I told this at his funeral because Matt died. I was at his funeral, and one time he grabs me in my guard, and then he just picks me up, shitty form, picks me up, and he goes to throw me out the door.
Tossed you.
I extended his arm, and he flew with me. And then we hit the concrete because he threw me that hard. But, I'm like 215, 220. This guy, another level strong, threw me. We went face down, and I bridged, and I hit the concrete. I wasn't letting go. And then his face went and hit the concrete. And like when you go face down, I had to ease up. And I had to take the brunt because I almost broke his arm. And it went, but it didn't pop. And then I'm like, please don't kick my ass. Please don't kick my ass. Because I always tapped him. Never ever tapped me. I always tap him. But scary dude.
Yeah.
Like this guy. Nice guy. He was always pro-American. He'd always like, as
really
you said, very
supportive.
Yeah.
Very nice guy, yeah.
But he would, so he ended up getting, he got huge, very smart, graduated college, I think UCLA. And what people don't know about Matt, and people like me talking about him, it's like, dude, he's a good dude. I was always cool. He was always supportive of me. I was supportive of him. So the interesting thing was he got a developmental deal for UFC or WWE. That guy would have been as big as The Rock because he had that personality. He had that personality.
I remember him, clearly.
Yeah.
Because it was cool to have a guy like that on your side.
Yeah, American.
Looked like a superhero.
With white
crazy,
contacts. He beat people he shouldn't have beaten because he scared the shit out of them. He was scary. Even when I tap him, I was scared. I'm like, hey, you okay? I didn't hurt you. Oh no, good job, Dave. I was always like, because when he would come in after I didn't wrestle him for a while.
So you were scared for your life when you had that armbar. You're like, I'm not letting go.
I had the
When he almost threw you out the window.
No, I wasn't scared of that. I was scared that I almost broke it.
Oh, okay.
Because you do this.
Yeah.
He went face down, and I went face down. And if I ease up my hips, it's gonna break.
Yeah.
But I just bent down to not hyperextend it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to hurt him, and I didn't want to get my ass kicked. But I mean, he wouldn't have, but it was still.
Yeah.
He got in front of me like, all right, I packed on 25 pounds. Let's see what you could do with it. You know, he came at me like that, like, all right, I paid money for these muscles. I worked on them. Let's see. Because, you know, him at 215 is one thing. Him at like 250, 255.
How much were you back then?
Like 220, 215.
Over two,
yeah, I've always been over 2, but I would always compete at 207. You know, like going to school, eating bad, eating clean, you know, that goes up and down. So Matt ended up getting a developmental deal from WWE, and then one thing changed his whole life. Someone pulled him over and was talking shit. Matt pulled over. I got in a fist fight. Matt beat the guy up. That wasn't the problem. When Matt got back into his monster truck with his monster truck tires, the guy tried to go in and punch Matt through the window. Matt gassed it. Matt ran the guy over. Matt got long. I remember when he was going through trial, he ended up getting 6 years. 6 years prison.
One moment, huh?
One moment changed his whole life. Like, it's like the guy had everything. And it's that bad decision.
Road rage.
That day.
Was that
yeah, it was road rage.
Yeah.
It wasn't road rage. It's like the guy said, pull over, let's fight. And he's all, okay.
Yeah.
I'm Matt Hall.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
It's not worth it. But
it's not worth it.
That one moment changed his whole life. Now, this is where it gets more interesting. So I used to teach a lot of sheriffs, you know, because like I said, I was a higher belt. There was no jiu-jitsu. So I taught a lot of sheriffs, taught a lot of LAPDs, a lot of guys that worked inside county, you know. Shout out to DT, Kenji Mashiko, you know, like they were in charge of teaching other people. Like we're still friends. We're on Facebook. So I would hear like stories about this guy. So, and it's funny because I was talking to Matt Hall to confirm stories, and like it was surreal. All right. I'll tell you about the confirmation story because that's a funny one. But so the guy goes into prison, white boy, 250. The first week, he knocks out the shot caller of the Aryan Nation and beat up a few other people. Just clean house. You got a guy in prison, like in the 90s, who is high-level purple belt jiu-jitsu, MMA experience, and huge and pissed. And he was never a racist. Never said a bad thing about any race, ever. He goes in, knocks out the shot caller, and says, I'm taking over this shit. And, dude, he became the shot caller for the Aryan Nation.
No way.
Yep. He was the guy. And he spent a lot of time, because I talked to him after, you know. So I would hear stories like, I heard he knocked out shot caller. I heard he ended up snapping a guard's arm. Like, I would hear all this stuff, you know. And then, you know, he, like...
so what happened? Did he get out?
Oh, I'll tell you. Yeah. So anyways, they ended up trying to give him more time because I guess they beat up... I think they killed a child molester. So, like, that doesn't fly good there. So they did that. So he gets out, and then, like, all the jiu-jitsu guys are afraid of him. Everyone's afraid of him. Like, because he had black friends, Mexican. Dude, he had every kind of friend.
Yeah.
Dude, like, I don't know if you get a concept of shot caller. Like, he's at Pelican Bay, and he spent more time in solitary confinement. And this guy is calling shots out of solitary, like inside and outside of the prison. Like the concept of running shit is another level, like what this guy did. And he gets out. The first time he got out, you know, he wasn't used to it. And then he violated, went back in. And then like 2 years later, I think he got out. He ended up doing like a total of, I don't know, 6+ years maybe, and then another 1 or 2. So what happened was I talked to him and, like, you know, Facebook, and we're chatting, and then you know, we're chatting. He's all, hey, you still talk to me, you know? I'm all, yeah, dude, you're always good to me. It's like, I would talk to him regularly, and, you know, great guy. We're talking, and then I'm kind of curious on certain things. Like, so I started asking him questions. Never heard him say one racist thing, ever. Never heard him drop N-bombs.
Yeah.
I never heard nothing bad about anything. You know, like, you know, the general montage is like, you know, we're the superior race, but like, he didn't even say that.
Yeah.
He was a good guy, but all the black belts, Chris Outer, everyone was afraid to talk to him. I talked to him, you know, start off with messaging. We talk on the phone, and then I had questions. I'm like, hey, I heard, he's like, yeah, I heard crazy stories about me, you know, in the yard, jumping like on the Crip side of the yard and trying to take on, you know, the yard and this and that. And he was all, yeah, that wasn't true. And then I'm all, hey, I heard. So I heard you got this. You snapped a guard's arm. You fucking you killed a fucking child molester. And you did that. And then you beat up like fucking 15 guys here. And I started rattling all that stuff off. I'm all, what about that? And he's all, yeah, that's true. And I was like, fuck. I mean, just a scary, intense guy. But I was always helping him with his jiu-jitsu, and I was very respectful of him. He was very respectful of me. Great guy. And it was weird because he told me like a lot of guys wouldn't talk to him when he got out. And I still talked to him. And then he was just telling me, we would talk. It's like, if you can't spot the mark in the room, it's you.
The mark?
The mark. Every room. If you can't spot who the weakest person is, it's you. You know, and I'm all, what did you do in there? He's all, I was in solitary confinement reading Art of War, Nietzsche. Like I was like, dude, they just made you that much. And he was already a smart guy.
Yeah.
So like he was telling me, like he just read a lot of books, you know, and it was crazy. So this guy's reading books, and like he's just a tactician, you know, and it was scary. Like, you know, we'd talk on the phone, but like, I didn't go see him. Like I'll be honest, I was intimidated. I mean, I knew he was cool. And we had a mutual friend that was saying, you know, oh dude, he likes you a lot. You guys are friends, come. And it's like, just with my schedule and stuff like that, I never had a chance, but like we would talk. And he was just telling me interesting things, like when you're getting jumped, by like 8 black guys, and they all got shivs, and you're getting stabbed, and you know you're getting stabbed, that's when you figure out who you really are. And I'm just like, fucking hell, man. I'm all, we're friends, right? And it was just interesting talking to his mindset. Then the other thing is, I heard Martin Scorsese wanted to do a film about him. You know,
damn, huh?
Yeah, they wanted to do a film about him, but the problem is,
I had no idea. You know, I just
yeah.
Serial killer.
Oh no, this guy's.
I thought it was his mark because his brand.
No, he was friends with the owner of Serial Killer, which was a guy named Matt McAfee.
Right.
But it was interesting. I heard they wanted to do this film and this, and I talked to him, and it was like, no, they wanted the characters to die at the end, and that can't happen. I'm all, wait, so what? You're gonna fucking run the Aryan Nation? Do all this shit,
so
live happily ever after in a movie?
Yeah. What happened? What happened?
He's like, he fucking backed out. He's
okay.
Like, nope. And then I guess someone else.
He was. I mean, what was he doing for a living? Like,
interesting.
After he got out of prison,
so he gets out. He's got a Mercedes, and he's all, hey, Dave, you work on a porn set, right? I'm all, yeah. He's all, can you give me a job? You know. First of all, he comes out. He's all, hey, if you ever need anything, I got you. Oh, what do you do? He's all, I specialize in collections. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. He's all, then he calls me up for favors. I need a job. I need something to look good on paper for my parole. And I'm all, dude, you're not going to like working for me. He's like, dude, you shoot porn. Like on a porn set. And I'm all, look, I shoot black guys fucking white girls with big dicks. And he was just like, oh, man, am I allowed to curse? So it was funny. And I'm all, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to like that. I'm all, cool. You know, because dude, it's like he's a scary guy and he's got certain experiences. And like I said, never said nothing bad, but I couldn't give him a job because you got some guy with these fucking Aryan tattoos, you know. And then
That's crazy, man.
Then what happened was, you know, we're chatting, we're talking. He'd like go off Facebook and we'd chat, and he ended up getting picked up, and you know, his girlfriend called me up. Hey, Matt's in jail. Can you help? And then I was dating an attorney that was Orange County Deputy District Attorney. And I was seeing this girl, and then I'm like, hey, can you see where my friend's at? And she fucking goes in. We're at her apartment, and she types this stuff in, and Matt Hall, ... And she's like, holy fuck, who is this guy? I'm all, it's Matt. You know, he's on, no, Dave, they don't put people in where he's at. I'm all, where is he at? I'm all, it's a special cell that only guards can talk to him. He's not in general pop, and no one can talk to him but guards, and I think it's underneath the courthouse. It was a special thing that they only put like people that they don't want talking to anyone, and he's not allowed visitors. Lecter. Yeah, like some Hannibal Lecter shit. And like, dude, and so what happened is
good thing you didn't visit him or put him on your
yeah. Oh, dude. So then what happened was he was, you know, I'm talking to his girlfriend. His girlfriend's sweet, and you know, hey, Dave will help. And I'm like, fuck, what if I don't help? I'm gonna. Long story short, the people, like, I guess some people died in another city, you know, and they said that he called the shots, and then the people that were the witnesses, so they held him for like maybe 6 months to a year, and then I guess all the witnesses disappeared, so they had to let him go. Yeah, crazy, right? You know?
And so what happened to him?
So anyways, he moves to Costa Rica. And, you know, the official good guy story was, I guess he had a surgery and he died. And then Chris Howder found the real story. And from what he did understand, he had a surgery and he started dealing with health issues. But I guess the feds caught up with him in Costa Rica. And then he hung himself in prison in a jail cell.
In Costa Rica?
Yeah, in Costa Rica. And then, like, we knew. And then Chris Howder like posted like the real story. I'm all, man, can you just let the official story be like, you know, he died peacefully? Nope. Investigating for like 15 disappearances. Like,
man, how about what's his name? One of the top American Jiu-Jitsu guys, Cameron Earl.
Oh, Cameron Earl.
Did you hear about Cameron Earl?
Oh, you know.
I was talking to Scotty, you know, just behind the scenes stuff.
You know who told me about Cameron Earl? Glover. Like
Jeff Glover.
Oh, Jeff Glover was like, we're sitting around, we go motorcycle riding and like riding Harleys and he's smoking weed, typical. And then he's telling me about it. Just tell me, because I want to hear your version of it. Because he was.
Well, I don't know. Like I competed against him. He had tapped out Marcelo Garcia.
Dude, the guy was like the best.
Yeah, he was taught. You know, he was kind of off. You know,
right?
He was kind of off. Like you knew something was off, but you know, but he was definitely one of the top like American Jiu-Jitsu guys. You know. And well, I don't know. I'm just hearing from.
Tell me what you know, and I'll tell you what Glover.
Well, I heard from Scotty and you know, and then Gumby's story of when he went to go visit him in, you know, prison years later. Yeah. But he was like a serial rapist and
yes,
and then yep. Scotty showed me the picture of,
dude, I was shocked
of the night. What's it? Night
Stalker.
Night Stalker.
And he's
and then a picture of him.
He's the son of
and
the Night
his mom
Stalker.
was raped by
the Night Stalker.
I mean, if you look at the Night Stalker's picture and him, you're like, man.
Glover was telling me this, and
they found that out later, or they looked at the pictures and they put two and two together, and they were like, oh my god.
Glover was blowing my mind with that chick. Because I remember that guy was a stud.
Yeah, you know, for sure.
He was giving me that whole thing, just exactly what you told me.
And everybody, like, you know, they thought, you know, like they've kind of vouched, and then the detectives and all that, like, like bad, evil.
Yeah,
like,
evil dude. Yeah, they found out, like, I guess he got accused and then he got away with it and then he got caught. It's like different, like, because there's more than one.
No, yeah, like Scotty and the Gumby, right? They had a detective that was on the force, and yeah, he was like, what actually happened? It was just crazy. His life was over.
fucking crazy.
And he went to when Gumby went to. He made a post, like a social media post. He went to go visit him in jail, and yeah, he was a shell of a man that that of what he was. When like broken and just.
Dude, that's what that place will do. Or it turns into Matt Hall.
Yeah.
2 different things.
But I think he was in there for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Matt Hall was like, assault with deadly weapon, car, a bunch of shit. But dude, murder and rape.
He held girls at, knife point, right?
Yeah,
Or something
exactly.
like that.
Over. Yeah, and he's got multiples.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because I remember him, and then Glover gave me the exact story.
Glover told you, huh?
Oh, yeah, Jeff Glover was just like, hey, what about this? And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was like, that was crazy. It's funny that you knew. I knew you knew, but it was just funny.
Well, Scotty showed me the picture when I went to Chipsa, the hospital. And he showed me man, did you know about this? And I was like, no. And he showed me the picture of the Night Stalker, right?
Right.
Night Stalker
and Cameron Earl.
Cameron Earl, But man, it's a lot of people training jiu-jitsu, right? But there's a less. Seems like we're talking about all these like bad things that can happen, right? But like it's all walks of life, right?
You know what it is?
All walks of life,
life choices,
right? But
Definitely.
one thing can go one way and another person can go another way, right? Well, I'll say Cameron Earl was his dad was.
Those were choices where Matt Hall, his choice was like fighting the guy, but then accidentally running him over. That changed it, because he didn't like back up on the guy. The guy tried to hit him and he had monster tires, and then the back monster tire ran him over. But he shouldn't have pulled over,
right?
It's funny, like that one thing. But Cameron Earl, this guy, like made conscious choices of hey, I'm gonna do this.
Evil.
I got evil shit going on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I know he's not gonna come out and tap me, so. Like that's crazy.
I think he tapped Marcelo Garcia twice.
Yeah, he was
with his toe holds and stuff.
He was
I had
talented.
a battle with him. I didn't tap from the toe, but he destroyed my foot. I finished the match,
dude. Because like even today, you and I were playing like toe holds and foot locks.
My ankles are
your ankles, mine too.
They're flexible,
Yeah, but I was like, keep going, and then I saw your face go. But the rollover makes it worse. But we got the point that you can hold out, but like, obviously you're not going to just sit there and let me crank.
Right.
Because then you start getting a little twists and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was funny.
Yeah. Man, just talking about the jiu-jitsu journey. So you've been on the mat for 29 years.
Yeah.
29 years. I mean, those are special times, like, I like to say like the 90s and stuff were like the golden age of, in a way, because it was like the guys that did jiu-jitsu, they fought too, and the Vale-Tudo, and they were like, like to have color on your belt. It was like, like you were saying, like, in American too, with color in your belt, it was a big deal, right?
Yeah, it was a big deal.
What if you hadn't found jiu-jitsu, or what has jiu-jitsu done?
Changed my life. I'll explain. What happened is this. I learned when I would compete, and this game, it's like people were competing, they're training like 3 times a week. I would get in, I'd go to college and then try to get in like anywhere from like 8 to 10 times a week, morning, night, and then free train. And the more time we put in, the better we got. So then it's like what jiu-jitsu did for me was I learned that the more time I put in, the better it turned out in tournament. Like I had guys in tournament, like, I was blue belt for 4 years. And then I went to this tournament and the guys goes, "Oh, you're Dave Novigrod." I'm all, "Hey, yeah." And he's all, "Yeah, I'm in the finals." And I'm all, "Oh, really? Yeah, me too." He's all, "What?" He's all, "Dude, I saw you like compete in Pan American, beat everyone and this, that, and the other." I'm all, "Yeah, tap quick because I need to get this before I get purple belt." And, he lost in the bathroom. But it was one of those things that I didn't know. I thought every blue belt was blue belt for 4 years, training like 10 times a week. Tournament, tap. I didn't even get him. I tapped him. Like I got side control. I just stepped the foot over and he tapped before I even got anything. That was it. But what jiu-jitsu taught me is business. Put the time in, your competition won't. And so, like I said, I got into
the discipline, the work ethic.
The work ethic. So I got into like porn, 2003. I saw how good Rafael was getting. I saw how good like all these guys were getting, and I'm like, and around 35, like, dude, my knees are hurting. I'm still training, but my knees are hurting, and I'm like, yeah. And then I would teach. So I had an advanced class to teach on Wednesday, and then Higan, you know, because I was one of the captains of the Machado Heat team, which was fun. So Higan would, he was like, Dave, where you at? I'm at the school. He's all, oh, you teach for me? I'm all, okay. So I'm teaching my class, and then I'm teaching a lot of his stuff. And then, you know, it's like I got my fix of teaching, and then I had privates. So I taught group class, and I taught privates, and I'd teach, and then coach guys at tournaments, which was fun. You know, like Higan would coach certain guys, and then when my guys that he knew I knew their game, he'd step aside, I'd coach them. So that's why you would see me at the tournaments. So I did that, and then it was like, man, this is cool. My knees hurt, my shoulders hurt. I'm gonna try something else. So I built a production company where I was doing laser lighting in Hollywood, and then I was making really good money doing that. So, you know, I was making like $2,000 plus a week, and I had employees and stuff like that. So then my friend was telling me, oh, well, you minored in photography in college. And like, this is like 2003. And he was like, can you take some pictures on a porn set? I'm all,
There was a guy from Jiu-Jitsu.
what's up?
There was a guy from Jiu-Jitsu, your friend?
That brought me in there?
Yeah.
No, there was just a guy from law school that
From
brought
law
me
school.
that brought me
Brought
into
you into
that.
porn.
That brought me into porn. It was a guy from law school. So,
Lawyers, huh?
oh, dude, I had a girlfriend, and we broke up, and then I'm like, okay, I could do it. So I started learning photography, and then I'm all, hey, we need more lights. I started learning lighting. So then I started taking pics, and then I started getting really good at photos, and then I started getting good at. Then I talked to the guy that like brought me onto this project, and I learned how to edit. So I'd get all this stuff and edit, and I'm like, dude, this guy sucks. Then I met a guy named Craven Moorhead, one of my best friends. I learned how to frame photos from him, and then I would also PA, personal assistant. So I learned photos from Craven. I learned framing from him, and then I worked for another guy, for Chico Wang, and he worked for like Anabolic Diabolic. So then I would work for him and take photos, and then I learned angles, and then I learned lighting, and then I would read books. So what happens is I learned, so I took when I went to my set that my friend brought me onto, I'm like, hey, let me shoot this, because if I shoot it, I know I can edit it easier than the crap that you're shooting, because I was doing PA work for other people. I had a company that was making me money, so I could work for $50, $100. You know what I mean? And then for Craven, I held a sea light, and then for Chico Wang, I PA'd and took photos. So I was working on 2 different porn sets. And then I started shooting good. And then when I shot
Shooting video?
Yeah, shooting video. So when I started shooting video, because I shot it, because I learned from guys that were shooting it really good, from 8 hours of editing, it only took me like an hour. So I was able to cut my editing work by shooting it. So then I started shooting that. And I shot a lot of beginners at first. So we were shooting. It's like, it was weird. No, beginner
Did
guys.
you ever think you were gonna go down this route in the past? When you were younger, when you were 20 years old,
not at all.
Coming into jiu-jitsu?
Not at all. Not at all. It was funny. It's
But I'll let you finish the story. Yeah. So you started shooting to be more efficient with your
editing.
Your editing, right? To save time and.
So what happened is I learned everything. I learned how to edit. I learned how to shoot. I learned how to light. And because of jiu-jitsu, it's like I got no name, and I got to compete with all these guys. So
work ethic.
So like in jiu-jitsu, if you put more time in, you win. So same thing here. So I put time into shooting video. I did not know that a video shooter just shot video, a photographer just shot photography, and an editor just did editing. I learned how to do it all, and I was good at all of it and got better. So then I started doing internet gigs, and then I started directing my own stuff and producing myself, and everything I learned from these guys, it worked. And then my work ethic was good because I went to law school. I started writing my own contracts, and I started doing my own business proposals, and I started doing, and since I was internet from the beginning, before DVD shifted to internet, I was already internet. Then, I shot for porn.com, great guys. Then I ended up, there was a website called.
I asked you today, I was like, "How what do you do, man?" And you're like, I shoot porn, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what do you do for a job? Well, I don't want to like insult people, So then what happened was I ended up on a forum called GFY, Go Fuck Yourself. And it's like we're all like producers worldwide. No one in the US really knew about it so much. Like people from overseas, all the marketers, company owners, all that. So it turned out there's this guy that ended up buying Brazzers, like all MindGeek. It was called Mansef, then it was Manwin, and then MindGeek. And that's Brazzers, Twisties, like all that. And then they also owned like 6 tube sites. So this guy freshly just bought these companies for like 700 million euros.
700 million.
Yeah.
Euros.
Yeah. So then what happened was there was a thread, and this guy was like, I'm like, my director, my name, is Dave. And then everyone's like, well, what's your porn name? Just Dave. And they're all, okay, Just Dave. And then I'm like, all right. So my director's name is Just Dave. And it's like, people call me Dave, but it's like, you Google Just Dave, my stuff comes up. And then my Twitter is Just Dave XXX. So what happened is I'm on this board, and then the owner that just spent 700 euros buying all these companies, and Brazzers is really good. And some guy, people would talk shit to him. And it was one of those things that there was this thread, and it was, like, we're better shooters than these Brazzers shooters. And then the owner of the company was on there, and he was like, well, I challenge you to, I'll pay you to make a video, just a solo video to compete with our directors. And then I saw that, and I'm like, how about this? I will shoot your solo. I will also add a boy girl to it. I will shoot the stills. I'll shoot the video. I'll edit everything, and I'll pay for it. And I will bet anyone anything that I'm better than anyone here and there. And then they made a contest. It fucking blew up. They made $1 million deal for Brazzers competition. And hundreds of people entered. Then what happened is people were, there's some good shooters. I'm thinking like, oh, I just got to compete with these couple guys. No, they made a contest where it was like open to everyone. And I'm like, fuck, now I got to compete against guys that I know are fucking good. But director had to hire the photographer. Some of them had to hire a cameraman. Some of them, I got all my friends. Jamie Walsh is in the video. And he's
the guy who cornered Eddie Bravo and
the guy that
ADCC win.
Yeah, the guy
over Hoyler.
He's in my Brazzers tryout video as an extra. So I had my friends do extras for free. I had a studio. I only had to pay the girl. I used Julia Ann, who I've known for a long time, and then a guy. So I didn't have to pay for cameraman. I didn't have to pay for a photographer. I didn't have to pay for editing because I could do it all. Long story short, actually it gets a couple twists. So people are like entering, and I would run into people. Oh, did you enter that contest? I'm all, yep. And then I'm all, did you enter? He's all, yeah. I'm all, yeah, $5,000 is a lot of money to lose. Because that's roughly what it's going to cost. For me, it wasn't going to cost that much. And I'm all, you're in it? I'm all, yep. And out of hundreds of people, only 12 or 13 people submitted. because I
Out of
talked
hundreds
to
of people, that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
Like you think actually the people that actually pull the trigger and do it, right?
because $5,000. I told him I would pay for everything. I talk shit to the fucking owner of a guy that just dropped 700 million euros.
That's a lesson right there. Like out of hundreds of people, right, that were entered the contest, right?
Right.
But then actually followed through with it.
Correct.
12 to 13 people, and then you have, right?
Exactly. So that's what jiu-jitsu gave me.
Right.
Follow through.
Follow through. And so you followed through.
I followed through. So what happened was I submitted, and dude, some of the best guys that I knew were good backed out. And I'm like, I was one of the better unknown people. And like, dude, people I respected backed out. And then there was people I respected that entered. What I did that a lot of people didn't do is I went to the site and I studied every girl. I read every fucking review. I read who they liked.
You study opponents.
Yep. I study my opponents.
You watch the videos.
I watched the videos.
Watch their trainings, you know,
Yep.
if you depending.
So what I did is I went and picked who I felt was the most popular girl. And they sent me a script. And everyone had the same script. I'm like, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go with the same thing. I'm going to add it was simple script, teacher, what was it? Teacher fucks girl, blah, blah, blah. Simple. I added a dream sequence. I added like extras. I went beyond what the script asked for, and they judged you on photography. I won. They judged you on storyline. I won video quality. I won on all like it was like 4 or 5 categories, and I won on all.
And that put you on the map.
That put me on the map. But it was funny because it was like 2 weeks. Their fans judged. And then I was like, yeah, I got this. And it's scary. I mean, granted, I only had to pay the girl. Julia usually charges $2,000. She charged me like $1,500 because I was friends with her. And then the guy I got for, instead of like $8, charged me like $500. So I was only in.
The girls are triple than the guy than what
that
the guys
girl.
make. Oh, that
girl. That girl costs a lot. And then I'm friends with the guy, so I didn't have to pay for all the stuff everyone else had to pay for. So I studied my opponents. I studied what they like. I studied what the fan. Did a shit ton of research. A lot of watching porn without my dick in my hand. Because I'm reading comments and what they like, what they don't like. So then I ended up. So it's like next day I'm gonna win. Boom. They go. You know what? We're gonna extend the. We're gonna extend the voting 2 more weeks, and we're going to put it on Pornhub. And I'm like, fuck. 2 weeks
Anxiety.
of anxiety because everyone's voting. So then all of a sudden the
Tension.
votes, mine got voted, other ones got voted higher than mine on Pornhub, and then all of a sudden the votes started skyrocketing. And then I won on Pornhub too. Then I happened to be at AVN because I was friends with a former owner of AVN, and they got the call, and then hanging out with the owner because we had lunch, and yeah, they just called, you won. I'm like, really? Yeah, you won $1 million contract. And that put me on the map for porn.
Jiu-Jitsu gave you that.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu gave me that. Where it's like, it's the same principles, you know? Like I used everything in jiu-jitsu to get good at that. And so people ask me like, you got students, why you because I was known for teaching. So I got a lot of students that have schools. Like a lot of guys I've trained. One of the more notable ones is I met Rafael Lovato Jr. in senior. I think junior was about 11 or 12. I got pictures of him at like 11 and 12 years old. So it was IMB, Danny Inisano, actually. He was doing a seminar, and I met Lovato Sr., so they come out, and then, I line up like 10 guys, and there's like 50 black belts from Inisano. So I go train, tap everyone out, boom, 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 boom. And then I think I was blue belt, but like almost purple, like 4 years at blue. And then I met Rafael Sr., and then Senior's like, hey, it'd be an honor for you to train with my son. I'm like, dude, kid's like 12. And I'm like, okay, I'll train. So I'm training with this kid that's like 12 years old. And he has that look like, I'm going to beat you. He didn't care that I was, 215, 220. And he didn't care that I just ripped up like all these Inisano no belts. And I'm wrestling him. I'm like, man, he's good. He's got setups, his traps. He was really good. And, I got talking to his dad, and me and his dad got along. And then, hey, we got to invite you to Oklahoma. So I got invited to Oklahoma. So I'd go to Oklahoma all the time. Oh, this is a funny one because I would go to Oklahoma and teach for like 10 days, teach group class, and then work with Rafael like all day, every day. And being in my 20s, it's like, oh yeah, I'm important,
So you would help a senior, Rafael about the senior.
No, junior.
Well, you would help him in the gym though,
right?
And then you would help. You would train.
I would do teaching
junior.
duties. I would do teaching duties and help because I had so much back then.
He invested everything, huh, in his son.
Yeah, senior didn't play. Senior was really good. Tough on him, but like, I think no one was tougher on junior than junior was on junior. So I would go there, and Rafa always have a notebook. I'd show him something. He's like, stop. I got to write this down. I'm like, no, dude, come on, let's keep going. No, stop. Every fucking thing with a notebook. I'm like, I got to call him up and ask him to post his notebooks. He must have like 10 feet of notebooks. And then
at 12 years old.
Yeah, at 12 years old. He
was taking notes.
He was taking notes. And then, I became close with his mom and his dad. I still got his mom and dad's phone number. We talk. I love Senior. Me and Senior get along great. It's just weird me seeing Junior as an adult. I mean, all you guys look at him like.
Man, I was 18 when I first met you, and I was a kid, right?
Yeah, but you were a kid, but you weren't 12.
No, I wasn't 12. I wasn't 12. But I'm just saying, it's been a long time, right? I was an adult already, but 18. But it's you've been around all these other guys that have grown up on the mat. Myself now too, right?
Well, you're a legend as well. But the thing is, you don't see it just like I don't see myself as anything like whatever.
Yeah.
Like people, oh my God. I go to Fabio, I go to, Paulo G. LaBelle's school, and Rafa was doing a seminar, and he introduces me as the only guy to tap him out of the Machados, except for John, Jack, and Higan. And I'm like, I didn't think about that. Me and him would wrestle 25, 40 minutes, but Paulo G. LaBelle was like my best training partner ever. Fucking, I was purple belt. I caught him with a leg lock, and then I would almost catch him, but he trained with me so much that he was good at stopping it. And then he caught me once, I caught him once, and we didn't catch each other for like 5 years. But the fact that he introduced me to his whole school as the only one to tap him, and I trip out, and then like I see
gratitude, I'm sure.
And then I see Junior, and then like I got friends of mine that are porn stars, male porn stars that I train in jiu-jitsu that are good. And like, they know me as a porn director. They don't know my real name. So like we go to jiu-jitsu, and then Rafael stops the class, and this is like one of my first coaches. He used to take me to tournaments, and then like everyone's like, "Dude, like you're a big deal in jiu-jitsu." I'm all, yeah, but if I told you, I just sound like I'm lying, But back to Junior when he was young, so this kid was incredible. Like he had a fucking mind. Then it's like, I become close with his family. And Junior said this last time because he was out here like a couple weeks ago. He's like, I don't even know how my family trusted me with you or trusted you to take care of me, because like, I'm a young guy.
Why do you think his dad asked you?
Because they got to know me when they flew me out. And it's funny because Junior remembers things subtly different, but he was so young. I don't think, like, I was talking to him and Paul were talking. He was, oh, you came out like you're purple belt. No, man, I was blue belt. I got purple, but this is a long time. I'm like, dude, you were like 12. And then they would videotape me. Dude, they have the videos of me teaching, back in the day. Now, Junior is, so he comes out to LA and he stays with me. I'm going to college. I'm taking care of Junior. It's weird. Like, so I'm taking care of Junior, and I'm taking him to tournaments. I take him to Joe Morera tournament. He's a green belt. All right. And then he goes and and then the other thing was this. I would bring students in and they would smash everyone. So I bring Junior in and he's like smashing it, like higher level than he should, you know? And then like I had other students that I just only taught private that were businessmen. They come in with a white belt and they'd smash all the purples. But I trained them 3 times a week for 3 years, privates. And the white belt was afraid, but he just knew so much and didn't know. So I always would have students that I taught different places privately, bring them to the Machados and they'd fucking just clean house. So with Junior is we took him to, I remember this one tournament. It was Joe Moreira, which was cool. So he's a green belt. And I think what's green belt, like what, 15?
Yeah, before 16.
Yeah, like 14, 15. So he's a green belt. And then he just kills everyone. And then and I got pictures from back then. So he kills everyone. And then I'm like, hey, Joe, like, can we put a blue belt on this guy? And he's like, Dave, if he gets hurt, you know, liability. I'm like, come on, man. He just, he rings everyone's necks at the Machados. He taps all the blue belts at the Machados. And then Dave, and then he's like, okay, if he gets hurt, I don't want to hear about it. So it was funny because we talked about it recently. So we put him on a blue belt. And it's funny, his green belt, we still have it. Like, I still have his green belt. So
that's cool.
He puts on a blue belt. He goes and he beats everyone. In the finals, he got tapped with a wrist lock. Never seen it, dude. Even, come on, I didn't see him back then. You know, got caught with a wrist lock. Got cranked him. He didn't know what he had.
He won like the juvenile worlds, right? At the IBJJF worlds in Brazil.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
He medaled, you know.
I couldn't say because I wasn't there.
Right. But that was pretty close after, you know, it seems like.
He didn't do worlds when he did that tournament, but he could have. But at that time was one of his first times out to LA. So he was probably maybe 14. And he got caught in a wrist lock. And then I just remember he was crying, you know. He hurt. I'm like, don't let Joe Moreira see this or it's going to not be good because I don't want to get I told you so. So I'm hiding him in the corner and we're icing him. I'm hugging him. I'm like, it's okay. But I was telling this story like with Salo and everyone when we were at a bar. And so it hurt.
He still remembers it.
Yeah. You know, he remembers it. It's like, but the thing is he's so young where it's like, we compare notes and it's like, man, no, it's like this. I'm all, he's like, I thought you were purple belt, you know? Another thing was, so now it's like, you
thought he was a purple belt or you thought you were a purple
he
belt?
thought I was a purple belt.
You were a blue belt.
I was
a
blue belt, but like,
but back in those days, a blue belt was a big deal.
And senior I knew enough to teach his son. So then I got purple, like, you know, maybe month later or something like that. But I think the first time I came out, I was blue. So then we got, now the kid's getting good. Okay, he's blue belt and he's killing it. And he's purple belt. And every LA tournament, you see him, I was in his corner. I coached him every time. He stayed with me. Everything was cool. And then I remember he ended up fighting, let's start off with Jocko Willie Wink. So I was always a tactician. I was always really clever on watching people and figuring out what not to do. And Junior was good at guard, and he was a purple belt. What's that, 17?
Yeah.
17, yeah. Like 17 or, nah, he wasn't quite 18. I think he was 17, maybe 18, but I don't think so. So I watched Jocko.
Maybe that same, yeah.
Smash everyone. And I was just like, he also fought Drysdale at 16. So
Drysdale was 16?
Yeah.
Wow.
Both of them. And I posted that picture of him and Drysdale, and that's a funny one. The him and Drysdale, it was, I had Rafael in one corner, and then I think they were blue. They were blue. They're young blues, both like this guy Drysdale.
What tournament was it? Do you remember?
I don't know, but I posted the pic on Facebook.
Because there was the grappling games. They had
It was always
Joe Moreira.
It was probably
They had,
Joe Moreira. Because
okay.
that was always like the ones that like we'd go to. So it was. I'm still friends with him. God, the harder I think, the worse it is. Black belt, Novigrod. He's good. He fought in cage. Bald. God.
Novigrod.
John Lewis.
John Lewis.
So John Lewis, I've been friends with
Vegas,
John for a while. John's a good dude. So
Yeah.
John is in his corner, and I'm in Rafael's corner. And then they fought, and Rafael had a better strategy, won. And then like this guy gets mad, throws the belt down. John's apologizing, and then it was cool, but it was like I didn't know the guy grows up and becomes Drysdale. It was like
I was against
Drysdale when they were like
okay.
16. They were both kids, and like it was like I said, it was like Drysdale was upset.
There's a lot of history, right, with all these guys.
Yeah,
That's
Drysdale
crazy.
was like 16.
I remember it was one of the Gracie, maybe Huron Gracie, went against Rafael Lovato at one of the the local LA tournaments.
Yep.
Were you there? When he mounted him and stuff.
It was worse than that. How about this? I talk shit on a BJJ posting forum that Rafael would beat both Rigan and Henner. And then what happened is, and my logic was, he gets more international. I posted a picture from that day too.
Yeah.
He gets more international exposures to the games. My logic was common. Like, he's training in Brazil. He's training this. The Gracie kids, who are fucking studs, they're training just in their school. So my logic was Rafael sees more games and has more experience. And then I posted that he tapped both in the same day. Yeah, I'm friends with Rigan and Henner. I think Henner always wants to fucking kick my ass, but I like Rigan a lot. Me and him get along. I learned a lot because he fought Rigan first day. And then Rafael swept him. Boom. Looked great. Swept him and this and like scored points. Yeah, Rigan.
At the beginning.
Yeah, Rigan wasn't about points. Rigan's about finishing the fight. So that day,
I remember watching that fight. Was that a Copa Pacifica tournament?
Probably.
Because I think I would fly in and do like a match, like a super fight, because I was a black belt already at that time.
Yeah, you were higher belt.
And those were like super fights, right?
Right. Yeah, there were super fights. So then what happened was he ended up passing Rafael. Rafael back then, it was because he was so leggy, if you can get your knee into his hip, then it would keep him, and then keep your head and shoulder low, he wouldn't be able to recover. So he exposed that, 'cause he's a kid.
Yeah.
And so then fucking Henner gets side, sets up choke, takes him out, cross choke.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then points at me.
Points at you.
Points at me.
I know there was some tension I remember there was tension.
It was points at me.
Everybody's going crazy, and then there was a big old tension.
Because it was
like bad blood,
It wasn't so bad.
Right, but I just felt, I didn't know what was going on.
Because
I remember that
my big fucking mouth got, like, I pretty much, what I like to say is your mouth writes checks your ass can't cash.
Right.
And my mouth wrote a check that my ass and Rafael couldn't cash at that time. And you know what? I was wrong, but come on, the sheer logic. If Rafael is going to Brazil,
you're right. No, for sure. But they're tough, man.
They're tough,
man.
He's
a world class. Like, they're tough, man.
And then what happened is, then like a couple months later, he fucking wrestles Henner. Fucking same thing.
Yeah.
Fucking pass, boom, side control. Then I'm talking to both brothers, because I talked to him after the first one.
Yeah.
And I talked to him, and I go to the Gracie school, and they're like, Rigan is like, puts his hand on my shoulder. He's like, "Hey, Dave, look, you made Gracie Hall of Fame." They have my post of talking shit, and then the end result of them tapping Rafael. And it was more friendly, but like,
that's all good, right? They rose up, right? And you know what I think? Because
those guys are amazing.
I talked to Lovato, right? I did a podcast with him, and like what happened right when he started training with Solo wasn't like the techniques or whatever, but it was like mindset.
Yeah.
His mindset changed, you know,
Yeah.
he started to believe, you know. And when I think about, you know, all the exposure and all the things he had, right? Traveling everywhere, traveling to Brazil and stuff.
That changed him.
But just the mindset, he changed his mindset.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, solid.
if I look at the, you know, the Gracie family, come on, they're Gracie family,
Dude.
you know. And so I'm sure there's some psychological advantage that they have, you know, like
Right.
I mean,
no, you know what? I've always had respect for both brothers.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And like I've known them since they're little kids.
Yeah.
You know, because I've seen them since they're little kids,
Yeah.
and I'd see them outside. And
yeah,
utmost respect. Never. I didn't come at it.
cleaning up
Right.
the gyms. You know,
Right.
after the family's tournament, they would be the ones like cleaning up the trash, leading by example, right?
I
Doing all those things.
never. It was funny, but that day, those 2 days, I learned like a lot. And Henner told me this. He's all, Dave, my friend, cross choke. First thing you learn, last thing you master. And then what happens is I come to your school and what did I teach?
Yeah.
And then like how nasty is it? Like you forget.
First thing you learn, last thing you master. That's
Correct.
good.
And
First
he told
thing
me
you
that.
learn, last thing you master.
And it was funny because it's like, you know, it's a nasty one where like, dude, I get people with it. I get
Right.
black belts with it.
Right.
And they're just like, but it's obviously out of the hip control,
Right.
as we were talking today. But that day I learned a lot. I started doing cross chokes after that. I never did cross chokes like I do now, but like after, and you know, I'd see Henner and Hidan, and Hidan, I like both, but I always I'd stop by the school and visit them, you know, because I had friends there. And then Henner's like, get the gi, Dave, get the gi. And I'm like, this guy's going to kill me. This guy. But it was funny when they showed me, you know, they got a Gracie Museum with all the Hall of Fame stuff. And he's all, Dave, you made the Gracie Museum with the shit you talk. But I learned a lot, and it's fun because we laugh about it.
Yeah.
Like when I see him, we laugh about it.
Yeah.
Like, but I've always
That's all part of the story, right? It's all part of the
But
history.
Hidan, like I like
you
both.
made part of the history. You're part of the history of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the U.S. Like you're part of that, you know, the beginning. You know,
It's crazy.
That's why when I saw you today, I was like, man.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And I was
of
pretty
history.
pumped, you know, because we were like, I lived in New Mexico. I moved to Brazil. Right?
I followed your career.
Yeah. But I would
Because
always
you were
see
doing
you.
shit, you know?
Yeah. So it's really cool to kind of talk about these things. What are you most grateful for?
Starting jiu-jitsu. Like if I had to put the thing that changed my life totally and being grateful is that being healthy. Like knees hurt, everything hurts, but the fact that I'm 49 and I still train, and it's like you get in front of me, we're going. You know, depends what level you are, we'll go your level. But I'm grateful that jiu-jitsu gave me business, gave me everything. You know, and it's like I don't do jiu-jitsu for a living. I train like
It gave you character traits to
Yeah.
give you success,
exactly.
no matter what you do.
So people like, I never opened up a school. I taught a lot of students. I have students like Scott Tenenbaum. He's like out of, you know, Arizona. He's like, hey, I want you to do seminar. I was talking to, you know, Nick Steffen. He runs, I'd known him since like white belt to brown. And then I talk to him on the phone all the time. He's got Hoyler Gracie schools. And like, we're still close. He's like, oh, you got to come and do seminar because I teach this. And I talk about how I learned it from you. And I get all these guys that like hit me up going, dude, this one thing you taught me, I teach it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's weird because like, I don't look at myself. I am good at jiu-jitsu and I know how to teach, but I've been a porn director since like 2003.
You know, like today, that control in the pants from the side control, the knees,
Right.
knee on stomach position, and the way you grabbed it, the position you grabbed it, like, man, that was new for me. That's awesome, right?
Yeah, but-
made me so happy. And I was like, I was telling one of the guy, my student I was working with, right? Like, this is the first time I'm doing this, you know?
But the funny thing is when I wrestled with you, I had someone do the same controls and the same worm guard. And I didn't wrestle. I was able to develop a grip. I mean, man, you got 20-year plus grip. So do I. The thing is I had a black belt do those kind of grips, and I know how to break everything. And then when you put it on me, and then I'd let you do it. And then like, okay, let's work out of this.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I'm like trying everything. I'm like, there's only one way, but I was open for a sweep. And like, it's like, it was fun.
It's fun, yeah.
It was fun.
Exploring, playing.
You know, and then it was funny when you go to weave it, and then I'm all, oh, you want to weave it between my legs? Go ahead. Because the cool thing is, if you get me in a shitty position, I get out. That's fun. You know, it's not about tapping. It's about having fun and learning,
challenging yourself, right?
But it was funny when like you got it, and I'm like, all right. And you're like, you look too comfortable giving me that. But it was fun. And then it was like, when you move out, it's like, you know, I'm a bigger guy, but it's like, I don't try to throw it on you. I try to be roughly your weight without bringing down the weight. And then it makes it fun.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you had some fucking nasty sweeps where if I was lighter, you had that shit.
Yeah, it was so fun though, man, to come together and
Yeah.
just train, get on the mat, train, you know, like laugh about stuff, like, you
make
know,
jokes.
yeah,
And the
make
thing
jokes,
is we're so
talk about it.
Yeah, we talk
exchange
about it when
information.
But you and I talk as we train because we're both at that level where we
it's
can
cool.
do that.
It's really cool. What are you most grateful for from jiu-jitsu?
Work ethic. Work ethic. Because if you put the work in, you can win. I have a firm where if I put 110% in and I lose, I'm okay. If I put 110%, or if I put 80% in and I lose, that's a problem because I could have put that extra 20%. And that's a lot in preparation for business, preparation, doing your research, eating right, being in shape. Like, I try to keep in decent shape where it's like, if I need to drop weight to make a weight class, I can, you know, stuff like that. But it's like, it's weird, like, because what I do a lot of now is I'm a student again, which is funny. It's like, I learn, you know, you ask me to teach, I can teach, but like, I got friends where it's like, I learn. Like Brian Mendez, I go to his school, man, I used to teach his class when he was like 14. Brian Mendez is Salo Hibero guy, black belt, good, Marine, sniper, great guy, good friend. Man, and he catches me slipping, and he doesn't catch me where I'm weak. He's caught me where I'm strong, you know, and now I see the traps, so it really helps.
Yeah.
But watching him grow up and become a man and have his own school is like really cool to see all these guys get good. So I get to travel and learn from him. So like, he'll teach group class.
Yeah.
I've never taught his class. He's taught everything, and I learned like really cool shit. And then when we wrestle, I learned stuff.
Yeah.
But being a student again is fun, like exchanging ideas.
Yeah.
Because at Higgins, there was a time I didn't tap out for 5 years, you know, like just beat everyone. And it's like, I always had those leg locks. So if I couldn't tap you with anything good, I got foot lock, heel lock waiting for you, you know? Yeah. The number one goal was not to tap, but dude, like jiu-jitsu has helped me out with business, helped me out with everything. Put the time in that your competition won't. And I say it a lot, you know, but it's, and then in porn, what I've been doing is training porn stars. I got male performers that are really good, and dude, they're athletes. They pick it up faster, you know, like Will Pounder. He goes by the name Will Weed. He caught Lachlan Giles in a crucifix joke, you know, at a quintet. And it's like, he's a really good American. So I help these guys that are performers that have the time to train. And when you feel them, you're just like, God damn, you're strong. You know what I mean? So it's really cool to see like all these guys get good. And then the favorite thing is like, dude, I saw your American black belts. It's like, I'm shaking their hands, you know, hey, I know how hard it is to get this. Congratulations. You know, but it's been cool. It's been a good journey.
Amazing journey, huh?
Yeah. But dude, seeing you today was like, yeah.
I was pumped.
I was
excited.
pumped too. You know,
I knew you were coming, but it was like still like, you never, when you came in the doors, I was like, oh man, walked across the gym,
big old hug, like we've been training all along.
Right,
exactly. Because we both know what it took to get black belt.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's cool. I mean, yeah, like grateful. You know, what's really been exciting is like talking to people I've known for so long, and then people that I haven't talked to in a while, and then you reconnect with, because in my industry, I get people who want to be my friends for the wrong reasons. In jiu-jitsu, I know these guys. These are my friends, you know. But in adult, it's like, dude, everyone wants a job. Oh, I can do it. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, no, everyone. What other questions you got?
Yeah, it's good, man.
No,
thanks,
dude.
man. Thanks for hanging out.
Oh, always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, brother.
It was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing today. Amazing day today. You know,
Yeah.
get on the mat, talk a little bit. You know, some history,
God, I know.
stories, and there's like a ton more, right?
Because, dude, there is a ton more. And then you're able to fill in a lot of things that I didn't see.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right,
with
right.
like you running, like opening up Baja stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Matt Hall, Rico, Rafael. Like, dude, I've worked with so many guys.
Yeah.
Like I remember Rampage Jackson. Like, dude, like a lot of first time guys.
And then guys getting mad that you were teaching them jiu-jitsu, right, in those days.
Working with them in jiu-jitsu, like a lot of top Americans. Like I remember Jerry Bolander, and he was cool. And
Yeah, because it was different. Like you teaching, because we, you know, for when I started fighting MMA, I was representing jiu-jitsu,
Yes,
right?
you were.
And so I feel like my whole career, but really, you know, especially at the beginning. And then you were teaching them jiu-jitsu, being a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy,
Right.
And so all the, you know, well, more Brazilian guys, right? Would, you know, like,
It was
how
Brazilians.
dare you?
It wasn't Americans. It was
Okay, how
Brazilians.
dare you teach them, like, you know,
Dude, I'd hang
jiu-jitsu.
out because later I started hanging out with like Vernon White, and, like all these guys,
Yeah,
old school first
Like,
generation.
the Lion's Den.
Yeah, and then I would see, you know, Shamrock when he's doing WWE.
Yeah.
It's like, it was cool. They were cool to me.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
cool, like, you know, hang out.
It's all good. That's what it's for, right? For us to learn and to improve ourselves.
Correct. Yeah. It's
So
sharing.
you know, sharing, yeah.
Just like, you know, it's like my job is to help these guys. You know, it's not beat the shit out of these guys. It's help these guys.
Yeah.
It's not about win or lose because look, you know, I get caught slipping, or if it's something I haven't seen or identified, I'm going to get caught. But the more games you put yourself in front of, the more you see, the more you can stop. You know, like your setups today, worm guard. Like, if I kept coming forward, that was it. You're going to hook that leg, omoplata. Oh, I know there was an omoplata there, but you needed to move your hip to get the angle. But because I've had someone do it to me for like 6 weeks and sweep me and finish me and sweep me and finish me, that I was, but if no one ever does it to you, you're going to get caught.
Right.
And then you brought something different. You brought a grip. You brought a whole nother level of grip that this other black belt couldn't do, you know? But nah, it was good.
That's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's fun. But no, always a pleasure, man.
Thank you, brother.
We gotta
well, you got to do it
definitely
again. Do it again
Yeah.
for sure. For sure.
You know? Perfect.
Right on, brother.
All right. Thanks.